Sometimes fresh custodies appear on the court list, but the defendant never makes it into the courtroom. Newcastle Local Court has heaps of fresh custody cases, and here's one from late August 2024. As we know, fresh custodies usually happen because the defendant has been police bail refused after being charged, usually during the night or the day before. So it's a Friday, a weekday, so usually the fresh custodies will be physically here at the courthouse. They wait in the cells before being called into the courtroom. The purpose of the case being heard very soon after the arrest is for the defendant to have the opportunity to ask the court to grant bail. Bail is an agreement that the person can be free to go home, but they will return to court to answer the charge. Of course, this can come with conditions to mitigate the risk of reoffending, the risk to the community, and the risk of interfering with witnesses or evidence. Out of public view, it's usual for solicitors to be working with the defendant on their bail application. This might be legal aid, the Aboriginal Legal Service, the duty solicitor, or private solicitors. So on this day in August, the solicitor doing the fresh custody starts their first case. They immediately ask for the defendant not to be brought up from the cells. Instead, they ask that the defendant have their mental health assessed. The solicitor explains the defendant is talking to shadows and they haven't been able to have a conversation about the case with the defendant. What happens next is the court sort of switches from focusing on bail to seeking medical treatment for the defendant. Problem is the mental health nurse that works the courts is on leave. The magistrate presses for other options. The case is stood down while inquiries are made. It's cases like this where you see a legal system which does legal issues having to change direction and start dealing with medical issues. I was glad to know that there was an option for the legal system to call on the medical system to handle the medical issue. However, they got a bit stuck when there was no physical person to step in and deal with a medical issue. That's where you could see the magistrate pushing for an alternative. You get a sense that there are quite vulnerable people within our legal system. They depend on the legal system to have a duty of care and switch to a medical focus rather than just push on and deal with the legal issues. I can see the need for our medical system to be working closely with our legal system to reduce the risk to vulnerable people.